Sarada. I have with me today Sujala Mathis. She's the Director Consumer Marketing at Platinum Grid International India. Sujala, hi, lovely to see you.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Sujala, let's just start with how has the year been for PGI India? What's been happening over the last year?
Okay, I think, maybe I should just start with some context in terms of platinum. So, platinum is, of course, a rare precious metal, and our point of differentiation comes from the inherent rarity of the metal. Platinum primarily rests on three fundamental pillars, differentiation, meaning, and aspiration. And I think it's the combination of these that makes it tick with the consumer or gets consumer traction. So our journey really begins there. Using these potent pillars, we reach out to consumers across three brands. It's a branded portfolio of three brands. The first one being Platinum Love Bands, which is represented by love bands for couples. Primarily, product offering is in the form of rings. Then there is Platinum Ivara, and Platinum Ivara is our face to the woman consumer. So therefore represented by rings, chains, all types of women's jewelry. And then of course there's Men of Platinum, which is platinum jewelry for men, again represented across categories like wristwear, neckwear, etc. So that's broadly speaking, that's the portfolio. When you talk about the year gone by, I think it's been a year unlike any other. As all of us are aware, gold pricing has touched some historic levels this year. Naturally, with everything that's happening at a geopolitical front, right? And with that, the consumer has become cautious. The consumer has begun to, be a little more conservative when it comes to the weights and the value. So you see consumers going lighter, given the price and where it stands today. So I think in that context, however, and contrasting to that, platinum has held its ground. What we offer is differentiation, and that has come through. In fact, a lot of our initiatives, whether it's, we've done this year, we did the Men of Platinum MS Dhoni edition, which has seen a lot of new consumers get into the platinum fold. We also had, we currently have a wedding campaign running for a wedding edition on platinum love bands. And I think, it's initiatives like this that have drawn in new consumers. We also, given the fact that, platinum is still a metal in the build up stage, right? And therefore, what we also do is a lot of initiatives that are geared at familiarizing consumers. We've, of course, tried to integrate some tech with that. So we have initiatives which are based on educating consumers about the qualities of the metal, but they are fronted with technology, hence making them super immersive. So we have some AR run tools that really get people into consumers into the platinum world. We also do a lot of mid funnel activities, which is about playing up the differentiators of platinum and therefore enabling a better conversion once a consumer is aware. So this is broadly where it stands. I think, our, if anything, our brand health study and the results of it bear testimony to the fact that, to the consumer traction that the brands get. So platinum at an overall level sees an awareness of 93% and a consideration top to box of 92%. Even in terms of even in terms of distribution, today we stand at 2000 plus stores. And we see, and that distribution is not just metro centric. It is 45% in metros, 35% in tier 2, and 20% in tier 3. In fact, even if you look at our traffic to our websites, 57, I mean, at an average, I'll tell you, 57% odd is metro and tier 1, 15% is tier 2, and then 27% is tier 3. So I think it's data points like this that stand as evidence in terms of traction gained amongst our audiences.
You spoke of a lot of new consumers who've now entered into the platinum space. Are there any consumer insights that have stood out for you with this cohort?
I think, when you talk of precious jewelry as a category, there are several ingrained behaviors, but our entering premise and imperative is differentiation, right? And therefore, from that differentiation comes the fact that we tap into a very different set of motivations. Our affinity lies with a younger consumer. B, platinum is about fueling that need for social distinction, fulfilling that need for social distinction, fulfilling the need for an expression of individuality. It's the metal of emotion, and therefore, platinum comes true on any moment that is of emotional significance. By contrast, it's a very different value system. It's a very different set of motivations. Also, at the heart of it lies the appreciation for something that is innate to platinum, right? Platinum is based on a functional differentiator of being rare. And that sense of rarity is what our audience appreciates, because it starts there. Their need for differentiation is fulfilled by something that is truly rare. Because it's rare, it's even more precious, and hence it taps into needs like social distinction, like the expression of individuality, like the expression of emotions. And that's how it really plays out. Apart from that, also, we are a portfolio of 3 brands, and therefore, the insight really varies depending on the brand. For instance, if we start with Men of Platinum, which is our brand facing the male TG with jewelry for men, I think we started, with the identification of a cultural sort of insight. The fact that there was a time when men were sort of separated from each other basis the acquisition of wealth or other material acquisitions. But of course, in an era of like democratization and access, those separators didn't hold true, because what one had, the other could very easily acquire. And therefore, men started to feel this dilution, this sense of a loss of respect, and this loss of status almost. At the same time, that was the time when, the success narrative in our country and in our culture started changing. One started noticing, the upcoming narratives of success, which were driven by startup culture and by entrepreneurs, and these were success stories that didn't essentially subscribe to the norm of how one looks at success. They didn't any subscribe to any conventional definition of success in that sense. But there was a tribe here that, that was very well respected and that was looked up to. And most often, it was due to the values that they stood for. And from this context really came about this new definition and this new discourse on success that we tried to tap into, which is, success is about holding on to your values towards your journey on that path. So therefore, from that came about this archetype of a man of platinum. And a man of platinum essentially is a man of character, a success narrative that holds values and character very close to its heart. So that's what we've tried to tap into. The launched in 2019, and we've been on that trajectory ever since. So that's Men of Platinum. If we move on to Platinum Love Bands, for instance, then Platinum Love Bands also started on a cultural insight in a time, and that's still true for India even today. The majority of marriages are still arranged marriages. I think within that context, one yearns for this discovery of love or this moment of intimacy, and that's where Platinum Love Bands really struck a chord, because it stood for the discovery of love within the arranged marriage setup. Here there was a social, culturally valid setup, and within that, it came as a, as a promise of love within that setup, and that's what really struck a chord. It greatly impacted the equity of platinum as the metal of love, and that of course has evolved over time. And today platinum love band stands as a brand for that stands for modern love. And as we know, modern love has changed. It's no longer, if you talk to young women today, it's no longer about, rose tinted glasses and romance and all of that stuff. It is more about a partnership, and how these values, like whether it's individuality, whether it's acceptance of the individual, whether it's respect, whether it's friendship, these are values that define love today. And platinum love bands really stands for that kind of partnership. So I think that's the interesting insight on platinum love bands. And for our third, which is Platinum Ivara, I think there too, we have a very interesting cut. It's a strongly feminine brand. And what we've noticed today when we talk to young women, is that they don't identify themselves by their gender first. They are a person first. So in that sense, the whole discourse on femininity also has changed. Today, femininity is a lot about enjoying being who you are and being unapologetic about, unapologetic of who you are. Loving being in the skin you're in is basically where it is, right? And young women are very happy with that, because I don't think they come from that much of angst. They don't come from they don't come from looking at themselves as gender first. And therefore this whole space of celebration of femininity and being happy in that is the space that Platinum Ivara occupies, really. So I think, on all three levels, there are three interesting cuts which are modern, progressive, true to the audience that we tap into. Like I said, Platinum's affinity is with a younger audience, and this is what cuts ice with them, and this is what holds true to their value system as they are today.
Really interesting. I like the words you use. It says the motivation levels are different, unapologetic, value system is also changing. So how are you targeting these audiences, the Gen Zs particularly in this case? How is your communication targeted to this? And is it really different from, say, when you're targeting the other cohorts?
So I think the differences are basically play out more from a media playbook point of view. Because of course we've seen a migration of audiences from what used to be conventional offline mediums, and our idea of an affinity with a younger audience is to be where they are. So therefore, the play up of OTT, the play up of digital. I mean, today our bent is more towards digital vehicles and digital mediums. So I think that's one definitive play out. The other thing is also, in approaches, like when we approach, even if it is something as functional as education of Platinum, we won't look at it in the conventional way. It will be in a way that Gen Z can latch on to, and therefore it is about embedding even education with experience. That's why we try to, embed elements like AR filters, etc. in it. So I think that's the big difference in terms of approaching Gen Z. Also, what really cuts ice with them, and that's what we try a lot throughout our content, no matter where it sits, is to show them what is authentic. I think they don't react well to what is over manufactured and overhyped in that sense. I think their connection with what is raw and what is vulnerable and what is authentic is very high, and that's something we try and maintain across the board.
You mentioned content, and content marketing is really a big cause. You use a lot of content marketing. So can you just share some, tell us how exactly you go about it? Anything that stands out? Because we also live in the age of virality, right? So How do you kind of, maintain a balance between both?
Yeah, I think, I don't think we subscribe to this quest of, virality, honestly. For us, what matters most is authentic connections, and
Okay.
that sees its own results. I don't think we're looking for the next 5 minutes in the sun, really. For us, content plays out at different levels. Today, consumer journeys are not linear. And we look at content across the funnel. From a top funnel point of view, for a category like ours, it's very important to help and aid discoverability, and that's what content does at the top funnel. So via various mediums, whether it's social first, whether it's digital first, the attempt with content and in that edge of the funnel is to make sure that it aids exploration and discoverability. Then, of course, there's the mid funnel, and that's where we play up the distinct advantages of or the distinct points of difference of Platinum, both in terms of design, in terms of emotion, in terms of offering in total, because that's what really swings conversions. And then, of course, we are a guild, and therefore, showing our consumers the path to the last mile is a critical one. And therefore, a lot of last mile initiatives in terms of destinations and where or even nudges in terms of final conversion is what we do. That's how really content plays across the funnel. Content is also important from a equity point of view, and I think a lot of our equities, whether it's we do measure certain key imagery parameters. For instance, I think and they're mapped out to the top reasons why consumers choose Platinum. So for us, right on top is equities around premium precious metal, is equities around used to celebrate or mark an important occasion. And of course, there are a bunch of imagery parameters around design, and that's what we keep tracking from time to time. And content definitely plays a role there. So that's how we see it pan out, really. Also, there are changes in the whole content ecosystem today. And we try and be as real time and as adaptive to that as possible.
You mentioned you have a collection of MS Dhoni. MS Dhoni means cricket, and right now cricket means IPL. You've tied up, you've also chosen IPL as a platform. How has that helped you as a brand and help build your brand salience and recall scores?
So, I mean, given that Men of Platinum stands on the premise of success that holds character and values close to its heart, I think for us, pretty early in the game, what became clear is, cricket would be a strategic lever, a strategic growth driver. It's not a tactical sort of deployment plan in that sense. Of course, in our country, cricket is much more than a game. It's a feeling, it's an emotion, it's omnipresent. I think very few affinities will give you the kind of traction, the kind of engagement, and the kind of reach that cricket enjoys. And hence, we've tried to use that to our leverage. However, I think, cricket is also, given the reach it enjoys and given the status that it enjoys in our country, it is overpopulated. And therefore, our approach to cricket has always been to approach it from, what is cultural and emotional resonance, and try to come at it from there. And also, it's never been about how loud you can play that game, but it's been about how meaningfully we can play that, how it can strike an emotional chord with our audience. Because when you're talking to a male audience, I think cricket's domination in the male corridor is undoubted and undisputed. But the point was, how can we approach that with a point of difference? And therefore, when we started with we've created certain IPs around cricket. At the very beginning was the launch of an IP called the League of Platinum. Platinum Men. And that's when we had KL Rahul as the face of the brand. In time, we evolved, and used Sky as a face of the brand, and with that, we used a minute with Men of Platinum. Again, the narrative through it was stayed consistent. It was about values and character, because cricket is a great analogy to a narrative that talks about character and talks about values, because it is in a game like cricket where I think what sort of separates players from icons is character and values. So we've tried to leverage that analogy to the best extent possible, and hence these IPs stand. We also, for the longest time in the IPL, did Man of Platinum of the match. There is always a lot of conversation and a lot of traction around Man of the match. And I think that in a lot of ways, while culturally relevant, is very unidimensional, because it only takes into account performance. But I think we've tried to look at that as a brand that talks about a differentiated narrative on success. We've tried to look at performance differently, and spoken about Man of Platinum of the match, who in times or moments of truth in the game has held on to his values, and therefore both on and off the field has been able to display values like self-belief or courage or compassion, and therefore gaining the title of Man of Platinum of the match. And that is something we've done in collaboration in the past with ESPN, Cricinfo, with CricBuzz, and we've created these customized segments, which is Man of Platinum of the match. We've also kind of opened it up to audience engagement, asking them to and inviting them to guess the Man of Platinum of key matches in the tournament. So that's what we've done, I think, in the past. This time, of course, the engagement was different. We have a collection, which is the MS Dhoni edition from Men of Platinum. And that is a collaboration in a much, much deeper sense, right? Because he's not just the face of the brand, but his signature appears on a signature line of 15 pieces. And therefore they're most relevant. I mean, everyone who's seen the IPL has seen his entry into a stadium makes all the difference, right? You can't hear anything. Yeah, you can't hear anything beyond the chanting for a while. So, I think it's been most relevant now. So this IPL, what we did was, of course, bring back the collection into the consumer radar, because it was its most potent time, to be honest. What we also did was, try to tap around, the emerging culture around fandom. So today fandom looks very different. It's very, we don't try to compete with cricket, but there is a whole complementary nature to content around cricket. Younger consumers today are interested in personal stories of players, whether it's their journey, through the game, whether it's their personal victories, etc. That's what they're interested in. A lot of short format content gets consumed. A lot of complementary screen behavior, multi-screen behavior. In fact, you were asking me about Gen Z some time back, and with Gen Z, you see the rise in cricket content on social media is huge. Also, I mean, 93% odd of Gen Zs will look at a multi-screen experience during matches and tournaments. So those are some of the inherent things around and insights around the game that we've tapped into. And hence we created this initiative called Honor the Seven. At a simplistic level, it was asking audiences to write in their 7 words as a tribute to Dhoni. And those 7 words, what we did with AI is converted them into personalized anthems.
Wow.
Yeah, and then asked audiences to sort of tag us and put it on their handles. So it also created a lot of mentions for the brand in due course, of course. But I think what was great was to take a certain activation or a typical contest and add an experience layer to it. Also, something that younger audiences engage with well, not trying to use AI for the sake of AI, but to use it to enhance an experience, so to speak. So that's what we did. I think that is something that we saw a lot of traction with. 10,000 plus entries in that sense, and that wasn't even the mainstay of our initiative. Around the IPL, we also did a lot of meme activation. I mean, today when you talk about multi-screen, someone's watching the game, but on WhatsApp there is a whole community of just exchanging memes, right? So a lot of memes created around real-time events in key matches. We also tapped into super fan culture, and one of Dhoni's biggest fans wore the collection, and we also did little moments of him, touching the chain, touching the jewelry as if it were his lucky charm. So those kind of things, just embedding it into the consumption culture around cricket.
That's a lot you've done around IPL. But would you be able to tell me, like, what's been the increase in brand recalls for in sports? Sorry, if you can give me a number, because there's a lot you've done around cricket.
Yeah, so I mean, at an annual level, we do a brand health study, and we've seen key parameters in the brand health track rise by 6 basis points on an average. We also do, pre and post analysis of any of these initiatives, and we've seen brand lift scores on consideration, on PI, as high as 20 basis points, which for us bodes well. I think the fact that we are able to leave an imprint long after the match is over is important.
You've done a lot of innovative stuff, right? And a lot of work goes beyond that. But the thing about IPL is also it's a very cluttered space. What's the challenge, or how do you approach it when you're, getting out the campaign to stand out in the clutter? Whatever, you said you have the man of the match and the rest, and, you've asked audiences to send in 7 words to describe Dhoni and create a personalized message. But how, when each year when you approach it, what's the challenge that you see to stand out in the clutter?
I think at a fundamental level, like I was saying, for us, what's more important is emotional resonance and trying to pick on something that is culturally relevant at that time. So for example, to take a spin on the man of the match and make it a man of platinum of the match, where the access is not on performance alone, but is on character displayed in critical moments in a game. Right, so that would automatically mean emotional resonance. That would automatically mean a take on or something that is a cultural prevailing truth. So I think our approach to it has always been about doing something that has emotional resonance and that has a certain cultural truth embedded at the heart of it. So that's how we look at it. It's not been about subscribing to a seasonal playbook in that sense. I
Now,
think if you look at, sorry.
please continue.
No. So I'm saying if you look at the whole, everything that we spoke of, which is the fact that today audiences are interested in personal journeys, audiences are interested in content around the matches as much as they are in the match itself. Screening experiences are today multi-screen. I think these are all the things that we keep in mind. What is the current consumption culture around the game? What is true for in society at that time? What is prevalent and how can we tap into it?
Now, you mentioned culture, you mentioned the word, clutter, and also, being emotional. All that comes together in the big Indian wedding. So, can you just tell a little bit more about Seal It with Platinum? Because that's also a cluttered space. Wedding will happen throughout in India, very emotional, very cultural. So, Can you just tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. I think, so just to start a little bit with context, Platinum Love Bands is about, today stands as a brand representing modern love. And within that space, of course, it is, an occasion first narrative, because it taps directly into weddings and into marriages. India is, of course, huge when it comes to wedding. And, I think last November, December alone, there were around 4.8 million weddings. That just tells you about the scale of the occasion. And therefore, from a jewelry point of view, of course, it's a very valid sector. For us, Platinum Love Bands sits in the segment of couple gifting, and has always been about the discovery and declaration of love between in a couple. I think, obviously marriage is a potent occasion. Our only quest was to do it differently, because, like you rightly said, it's highly cluttered. And our point of difference really came from authenticity. So we tried to keep it real in that sense. We collaborated with Wedding Sutra, which is one of the biggest online destinations when it comes to marriages. And we collaborated with them, and then we took on board real couples who are in the process of getting married, and showcase their stories, or showcase the moments when they decided that this was it. Showcased their platinum day of love, so to speak. So that was the access. That was the access really to this whole initiative. I think what also added a point of difference is that rather than making it, simplistic, we tried to add a creative device that would add intrigue, and therefore we chose wedding cards. As you know, wedding cards and creating wedding invites is like a labor of love. Hours go into designing exactly what you want. And therefore, it was these couples talking about their platinum day of love, and while it was being sketched out, or while it was being rendered in the form of a wedding card. So we had wedding card designers who really depicted their love story via a wedding invite, and all of that was showcased in the form of a content series. So it was called The Wedding Card of Us, in collaboration with Wedding Sutra. And I think the authenticity of it, real couples, real wedding destination, it was shot by wedding videographers. So we tried to keep it as real as possible and as authentic to the occasion as possible. And that's why, the weddings is also the time when you want to, when as a brand, we want to have cultural resonance at that time, and it's one of the most defining moments in a relationship. And if that's not cast in platinum, then what is?
Very true. So looking ahead, what can we expect from PVI India? You've already got a broad, you've got an expansive geographical reach. So will you be looking to, further deepen yourself in the country, or in terms of marketing? What can we expect from the company looking ahead?
I think some part of it will be consistency, and some part of it will be expansion. So of course, consistency on certain key parameters. I think what the brands today sit on very well defined value systems, and I think the tougher challenge is in being consistent. Jumping on to what's new is actually the easier one. So on that front, definitely consistency, whether it's Men of Platinum and cricket, or whether it's Platinum Love Bands and the journey of modern love, and whether it's Platinum Ivara and today's femininity. So I think those will stay constant. We will, of course, look at newer occasions. We, as a guild, of course, have strategic partners, and all of the strategic partners, when you look across the jewelry sector, are in rapid expansion mode. And that bodes well for us, because it takes platinum to markets that are new, so, and it widens the gamut as far as platinum is concerned.
Consistency is the way to go, and that I think would be the headline. Thank you so much, Sujala, for your time. It was really interesting to hear what you had to say.
Thank you so much, Simran. It's great being here. Thank you.